Hello, everyone. Hello, world. Hello, world of composers. Can somebody confirm at some point in the chat that you can hear me? And Brian and Stefan, can you just say hello?
Hello.
Hello, so
hello.
everyone. Hello, world. So yeah, if you can confirm, hello, world of composers, that you can hear us all. We'll crack on. So we will just do the intros, and then we'll let everybody in who's waiting on Zoom. So bear with us if you're on Zoom. So this is a thing that we do once a month, loud and clear, excellent. I'm Brian Waters from the QTube. We run a platform with resources and opportunities for film composers. And once a month we do a live feedback session with our two esteemed guests here from Leeds Conservatoire, who will introduce themselves in a second, feeding back on film music that you've created and submitted through our website. So the brief this time was to submit up to 3 minutes of music for any of the films in our library. And I just want to emphasize each of those points. So first of all, up to 3 minutes. Secondly, films in our library. And thirdly, of course, it should be a YouTube video that we can access. So it needs to be either public or unlisted, but it can't be private. So if you fail to meet any of those requirements, unfortunately, you'll be excluded. But I've tried to be as clear and fair as I can on that. We do always get some people who sometimes don't quite manage to do that for whatever reason. But anyway, let's move on. We're going to do about an hour's worth of feedback, and we're going to choose somebody to win a string quartet session, which we do every month, and also somebody to receive a sample library from our friends at Fracture Sounds, who we are very grateful to for their support. So Brian and Stefan, do you want to quickly introduce yourselves again?
Yeah, sure. My name's Brian. I work at Leeds Conservatoire, where I am a principal lecturer in film music and also deputy head of the school in which the film music degree sits. I actually wrote the first film music degree about 9 years ago, and there's a new film music degree which I've also written, which is coming out in a year's time. Yeah, that's
Excellent.
me.
Yeah, I'm Stefan Gordon. I'm principal lecturer at Leeds Conservatoire. I work with Brian on the same pathway, the film music pathway, and I specialise in film theory, film studies and production as well.
Fantastic. Okay. Stefan, do you want to unleash the herds of composers?
Absolutely. Right.
Open the floodgates. There they are. Look at them. Flying in from all around the world. This is fantastic.
Hello.
Hola. Hola, buenos dias. Bonjour. Howdy. Guten Abend.
Professional, Brian.
I am a professional. Some very lovely familiar faces and some lovely, probably less familiar faces, but all lovely. They're all lovely faces. Hi everyone, welcome. We will try to be vigilant and look out for anybody who wants to say something with a raised hand, but as you can probably imagine, it's quite fraught and tricky I'm not very good at this. I'm not like Christian Henson, who seems to run his sessions brilliantly. But I hope everyone's doing well. A thumbs up if you're doing well. Excellent. Thank you to everybody for submitting. We really appreciate it, and we really enjoyed going through them. Before we go into some individual submissions, which DJ Stefan is queuing up on his turntable.
Brilliant.
Brian and Stefan, do you have any we always start with any general observations, actually, and I think there were a few interesting ones this time, because it was a little bit different, yeah, because we let people submit a film of their choice. What did you...
I think from where I'm sat, I think the standard was really good this time, and I think it's inevitable if people are choosing films that they want to do and films that they think show their music off in its best light. I think the standard is bound to be higher when you're doing that kind of thing, and I think it is good to let people just write whatever they want occasionally, but also the fact remains that it's a different kettle of fish when you're having to write to a film that perhaps you wouldn't have done out of choice.
Or you don't like.
Or you don't like, yeah.
Or it's got all that voiceover on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Some of these horrible YouTube films. So yeah, that's quite interesting. And I suppose, as we said earlier when we had a private chat, that some people probably submitted things that they'd had a little bit longer to work on as well, which probably helped.
I think a few of them were submitting things that they submitted many years ago, and then had another go with the samples. So
yeah, and I think
that's probably another reason why it was so good.
And I think probably when people had done things a few years ago, probably at that time there wasn't an opportunity to get feedback. So this was a sort of, they welcomed the opportunity to kind of submit something that they really enjoyed doing, and they wanted to know whether you enjoyed listening to it. So yeah, no, really
I thought it was same point as Brian for me as well. Like, going through them, first of all, there was a lot more. Submissions, which is great. But I think it was, I thought you could feel the energy in it actually, because people had sort of picked the ones that they were drawn to. So the sort of the energy within all the submissions, all of them really absolutely came across. So I thought the standard really was excellent. So it was difficult, obviously, picking ones out, but I think there was a lot of good work.
So was it actually a bit harder this time to pick out the ones that you preferred?
I thought for me it was because there was a sort of long list of ones that were really sort of excellent pieces, a lot of them. So I thought it was tricky, but it was great to hear what people's approaches, because obviously some people would pick the same film, and I get this with our students, and they're kind of their take on it, because they bring their personality to it, which I think is really important, which was great to see.
It must be quite hard for you jumping around from genre to genre or film to film. Did you find that difficult, or was it fairly easy? I guess you're used to it maybe from working at the university.
I mean it was interesting. I mean, the hardest thing for us, or certainly for me, is remembering that what you're not doing is judging music. If you set me a task and saying, out of all these pieces of music, which piece of music did you like the most? It might be a different bunch of people that we chose, but when the question is what music works to the film better, that's often a different thing. Like for one of the clips we've chosen, for example, I think one of the clips that I chose, there isn't an awful lot going on musically. Okay, it's actually quite simple, quite minimal, but it works with the film beautifully. And that's a big thing for us, So we're not adjudicating whether it's got any fancy chords in it or whether it's lavish orchestration or anything. Ultimately, it's does it work with the film? Does it serve the movie? Basically,
because we said that, didn't we? Sorry, Brian. It was a similar thing for me, as Brian just said, writing in the feedback, similar points that I've said before. And I think the more that we do these, actually, and I've got a sense of it with this month's submissions, that people are getting into it. But it's that moment of taking a step back and going, does this belong to the film? Is this the film speaking, or is this the composer speaking? There's a kind of difference, really. But and I think people are sort of getting into it. But I did find myself writing that a little bit in the feedback, is that, that thing I always say, that I'm sure everyone's sort of heard me say millions of times now, is that it's that, yes, you're composers, absolutely, but also filmmakers as well.
There's also two, it's quite interesting this, I wasn't going to mention this, but I think it's worth it, that I'm in contact right now with quite a few composers, professional composers. I'm in the middle, I'm coming to the end of writing this new book on horror music, and I was in touch with a guy called Tim Wynn, who actually wrote the music for Final Destination Bloodlines, which is a great film if you're into that kind of thing. And he sent me a load of audio cues, and he said, I sent you the audio cues, I've also sent you the mix that went in the film. And the point being that often they'll write a mix for the album, and then the mix that goes in the film is slightly different. Like, for example, it'll just have some of the brightness taken off. There'll be maybe a trumpet and string line, and they'll take the trumpet out for the film mix. And that's an important thing to bear in mind, that you can't just be indulgent musically. And the other guy, literally today, a guy called Joseph Trapanese, who did the music for a film called No One Can Save You, which sounds a bit awful, but it's a horror film. And he actually said, the first thing he said is it's amazing in this job how little you have to do if you're doing your job properly. In other words, don't overwrite. And I'm not suggesting that you guys are overwritten. I'm simply saying that these are what the top guys are telling us all the time, is that the one thing they've learned in this journey where they've ended up in Hollywood or whatever, is that the one thing they've learned is to pull back and to not do as much as they used to do. And, you know, I would say that's a great thing for all of us, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastico. Does anybody have any quick comments or questions, or how was it for you having carte blanche to submit from the library? Anybody?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. Whether you guys thought
it's not a good question because nobody's answering. It's obviously
did they prefer it this way?
It's a boring question. Clearly. Oh, there's some hearts. Thank you, Darren.
Oh, there you go.
He loved it.
Crystal.
Crystal. Hi, Crystal.
I just picked up one that I've been wanting to do for a while, which was the anime of Mia's World, and it's completely different because it was like obviously a breakaway from orchestral music, because I could see from the film that the scene setting and the way in which the actual tone looked invited the opportunity to explore electronic instruments as well as orchestration. So it was a combination of both of them, like emerging throughout the whole of the piece. So I really enjoyed doing that one. I know it was really short. It wasn't like showing me off massively, but it was just something I wanted to do, and because of its Japanese anime, we need some more of those.
Okay. Well, point noted. Don't worry, Crystal. Yeah. I'm all ears. And indeed, you know, generally I want to make the point that we're really interested to know what you're interested in, you guys. Not just the people on the Zoom, but everybody out there, like which clips would you like more of it, style-wise and so on. But yeah, thank you for that. That's great. I mean, I think probably what we'll do is these carte blanche sessions, we'll perhaps do them one every 6 months or something, you know. So we'll continue with a specific clip, and then periodically we'll punctuate it with this type of session where you can submit a clip of your choice. I think it's quite a nice way to mix it up. But as always, I'm open to...
Oh, Brian, I have one question with regards to that. You know the game one that some of us may have downloaded? Can we use one of the films from that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's one on that I really want to...
Which one is it that you like?
The one when she's darting all over the place.
Yeah. Coffee Run. Coffee Run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. We'll probably put Coffee Run into the library, actually. It's a good one. Yeah, although there's no sound design on it, but I think still it's a good one to play with.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do the sound design as well, can't we?
Can do, yeah. And I mean, there's a really interesting subtext aspect to that one, actually, Stefan. One for you to get your teeth into.
Okay. I haven't seen this one yet. Okay.
Yeah, it's a goodie. It's a real goodie. It's about 3 minutes long or so, I think. So it's ideal. Oh,
yeah, and it goes through so many different themes. Like
I see a hand.
And you've got like
death. Yeah. Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
It's brilliant.
Cowan, you had your hand up. Hello. Can you unmute yourself? Can you unmute yourself, please? We can't read your lips. Unmute yourself. Oh goodness. Unmute, please. We can't hear you. This is going to be a long evening. Oh, he's looking for the button. I can sense it.
There's a couple of messages on the...
Oh, we go.
Now you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear.
All right, good. Thank you. Well, this is really exciting for me. I've always wanted to do film scoring, and I saw that my Studio One Pro had that available. So I was just looking for, some blank films to practice with and do that, since I love that. And I discovered QTube.
Yay!
I thought, this is really neat. So I joined it.
Great.
And
thank you.
You guys already had another competition going on, but at that time I thought, let me look and see what they've got.
Yeah.
So the first one I did was Goodbye Brother.
Okay.
And my friends liked that. So that was pretty good. And so I said, well, let me try something else. When I was looking, I saw the Vesper film. And I've always been a James Bond fan.
Excellent.
Back with Goldfinger and Thunderball and the John Barry stuff. And I thought, that'd be really fun to do.
Cool.
And so I was just looking at the clip itself, and I thought, okay, this will be really interesting because I can do a theme song and try to catch that feeling that they did with Thunderball and Goldfinger. And then when I watched the rest of the film, I thought, okay, this would be a really neat idea. So
great.
Anyway, it was a lot of fun doing it. Enjoyed it.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for joining us and for those lovely words. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's an important part of it. Anybody else quickly before we go into the reviews? So just to highlight to anybody that's Harini. Hello.
First of all, I just want to thank QTube team for this beautiful opportunity. I'm from India, Tamil Nadu,
Great.
Chennai.
Hello.
So it's like so interesting for me to rescore the horror film actually. It was a different genre for me. I never did it, and it's a great opportunity. I just did my best actually. I'm so blessed to have this Zoom meeting with all the musicians all over. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the QTube team.
It's lovely to have you with us. So you're from India and Cowan.
Yeah.
Cowan, where are you from there?
Cowan, yes,
Where are you from? Where are you coming to us from?
Oh, I'm coming to you from Norfolk, Virginia.
Goodness me.
Excellent.
Goodness me.
Excellent.
Norfolk, Virginia. And Crystal, you're in the UK, I'm guessing, from your accent, yeah?
Yes, I'm in the UK, southwest, in the countryside.
Oh, lovely. Okay. And what other fantastic locations do we have? Marco, let me guess, you're in Italy?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Venice. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Venice.
All right for
Great to
some.
be here.
Yeah.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Yeah.
NYC.
That's fantastic.
Louisiana.
I did actually go to just to Norfolk and Virginia once, about many years ago, and I worked on a cruise liner as a musician. We went to Norfolk and Virginia. I remember it being the coldest place I've ever been, ever. At that point, it was the middle of the winter, and I didn't realise that the eastern seaboard was that cold. But it was a lovely place though.
Colder than Doncaster.
Oh, just a bit. Yep.
So I'm looking at interesting names because they might be interesting places. So Ornella, Salvador, sounds an interesting name. Where are you coming from?
Hi, I'm from France actually.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay.
And which part?
Well, I live in Paris, but currently I'm in the south in Marseille.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome. Is this your first time with us? Yeah.
Yes, it is
Okay.
actually.
Wonderful. What other interesting ones do we have? A lot of very familiar things. Wan Lun Cow. Terrible pronunciation, I'm sure. Hello.
Yeah, you pronounce very well.
Oh, thank you. Where are you from?
I'm from Taiwan.
Taiwan. Amazing. What a bloody...
I met Mr. Waters in the Los Angeles conference. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. There we go. Yes, wonderful. Yes, of course. Yes, we went for all of us. A group of us went for McDonald's. That was a memorable moment. What you go to LA and you end up eating McDonald's. There you are. So yeah, okay. Look, I'm waffling as I'm very prone to doing. Stefan, over to you, sir.
Right. Okay. So let's do our first one, which is we're going to start with Aaron Ortiz. Actually.
Okay. Is Aaron with us? Oh yes, he is. Excellent.
Is Aaron here?
Yeah,
Yes,
hi.
he is.
Hi.
Right. Okay. Right. Let me know if there's a problem seeing or hearing it. Yeah. Here we go. Okay.
Okay, right. I go first then, Steph. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought this was excellent. It really superb all round. Well dubbed as well. I mean, it's very hard dubbing this kind of music onto this kind of film. There's sound everywhere. There's noise everywhere. There's action everywhere. The music flicks between different emotional states, and it does it really brilliantly. And that's no mean feat. Textures fit with the genre really well, and the writing encompasses this really nice tongue-in-cheek kind of quality which fits the film really well. The use of woodwinds is excellent right from the off, as is the use of the harmony. I think you make the music sound effortless, but of course the most important thing is it's not effortless, it's very hard. And I think if you make it sound this effortless, it's because it's quality writing. And the music to me sounds like it was born with the film, which we often say when the music is really good, it sounds like it was always there. You've got this thing at the beginning where you have this kind of musical thing, and then you got this really nice little thing there with the clarinet jump from F sharp to the F over the B chord, and it's stuff like that. It's those kind of observations, those kind of like harmonic observations that really make this really good. There is a cheekiness to the music, and this is achieved through the expert use of texture, particularly woodwinds, like I've said, and harmony, obviously. The harmony is occasionally bitonal, which you often find in these kind of animation. When I was a kid, I used to watch lots of Tom and Jerry cartoons, and years later I couldn't figure out what it was that was going on, and I realized eventually there was a lot of polytonality, you know, where you'd have one element going and another element completely in a different key completely, and that's how they often get these abstract emotions. This is the basis of how, like I say, of how many of the old Disney scores operated, and you've locked into that kind of zeitgeist really well. Lots of the whole tone scales as well being used, really works well harmonically. Great use of bassoons, and I think bass clarinet I've heard in there once or twice. great attention to detail with regard to the hit points and excellent architecture. Fabulous writing, and there was also some bits that were really romantic, some John Williams-esque kind of E.T. Kind of vibe going on. So really, really well done. Fabulous.
Great.
Yeah, similar points. I thought it was great, Aaron. By the way, I stopped it. I know you went on a bit further than that, but I stopped it at 3 minutes because that was the what was specified. So I thought it was great. I mean, Brian's covered most of it. I put in my notes that it's difficult to do animation. So whenever I see these, I always think, wow, you know, you're going to have a real job to do this. So it always feels like you've probably spent a long time crafting this. And I think once you make that decision to do this, and then you go with that sort of Mickey Mousing style, it means that it's going to have to just fit. And I thought you made it fit really, really well. So really accurate. Brian mentioned it, which I put in my notes, that the trick with film music is it meant to be there? And that was, I think you absolutely tick that box. It was meant to be there, and that's how you put that music together. I thought and it's funny, one of our students did this. It might have been last year, and a similar point was the only bit that sort of came to me was the bit with the when he's looking through the window. There's the bit with the love hearts, the eyes. It's that bit there, and I always think that it probably needs to be a bit tighter. I think it's some more sort of Mickey Mousing at that point, because there's one bit where it zooms in closer. I think that's where you could really emphasize that moment. And I said that to her because it reminded me of similar things I said to one of our students. But I thought it was really, that's only a small point, really authentic, and just the precision. So it was all executed really, really well, and it feels like you spent a long time doing this. So, very well done. Great work.
Fantastic. Aaron, would you like to?
Thanks. I did spend a long time on it. I didn't know that you were going to have a contest where you could pick any piece from your library. And I just go through the back catalog of your library and I say, I want to do this one. And that's kind of what happened with this one. I kind of pick and choose the ones I like, even if I'm not going to compete with them, just for fun or for learning.
Yeah.
And it's been a really cool thing to have that. And I thank you guys for putting it together, because that's a really good resource for me just to have fun and experiment and try new things.
Fantastic. Well done.
No,
Thank you so
really,
much.
Really good. Yeah, so well done.
Lovely. Let's crack on, with the next one. Stefan.
Yeah.
Next?
Okay. So next we have Amadeus.
What a great name for a composer.
Yeah.
Let me share my.
The great one or the worst one?
You've already got an advantage. What can I say?
Right. Let's go with this. Hopefully everyone can see and hear this. Right. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah, right. I thought this was superb as well. Really nice intro musically, particularly effective use of woodwinds, brilliant woodwind writing, absolutely first class. It gives the cue a slightly folky, pastoral kind of feel, which works really well. Around about 11 seconds, we have this thing after the woodwind things where you got this thing where you go. Well-known kind of film music trope, you know, where you have a major chord and then you have some instruments on the top that are basically a tone higher. So you have the, in this case, the A flat chord. And then you have over the top, and it's that kind of attention to detail that really puts it firmly in that kind of Hollywood vibe. Great horn writing, great brass writing throughout, harmonically and texturally very sophisticated. Around 17 seconds, you have another great film music trope, which is where in this particular case you're going from the E flat minor to A flat, and you use that quite a few times in it, and that just takes you straight into Hollywood soundstage territory. It just takes you straight into that, and it's so good that you are picking up on these chord tricks and using them in a really creative way. It gives the music a feeling of wonderment. That little chord trick we're just talking about, if we play a different key, whichever key you play it in, it's still relative, and it gives you this wonderful feeling of wonderment. Great placing and architecture, and you do it again at 24 seconds where you're going from, and again it's the same effect, it's just this feeling of wonderment. Great harmonic tropes, work so well, and you've gone one extra because you've basically also put the sharp 4 in there. So for example, if you have a major chord and then you put that glorious little sharp 4 thing, which just emotionally it just takes you somewhere completely different. Great brass writing, superb trumpets and French horns, just absolutely fantastic. You also move away from the wonderment textures and the harmonies when the film hits moments where the characters sense danger. So it's not just, you know, you're not just basically stuck in one genre. You know, you're able to float effortlessly between sensing danger and fear and apprehension to these, more neo-romantic gestures. In general, your ability to follow narrative musically, harmonically and texturally is magnificent. For the entire clip, the control of samples, the orchestration of the mixing and the programming is absolutely top-notch, and the use of woodwinds is particularly impressive. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for that. Superb, well done. It's over to you, Stefan.
Yeah, I mean, Brian's covered it. Funnily enough, Amadeus, on this, you left me with not much to say because I didn't write very much, because I just thought it was great. I mean, it's that trick, and we always say it, and I said it about the last one. Is the trick is it meant to be there, and that's what you made to do. That's how you created that score, and that was its purpose, and so your vision was totally intact for this, and also you managed to do that in less, kind of under 2 minutes, which I thought was really impressive. And in that 2 minutes as well, the bit you picked, you didn't just do one thing across. You had the development of the narrative. You know, it's the beginning bit, and then it goes slightly darker. And so you selected a bit that, you know, that was like, you know, would have been it is a great showreel piece to go, this is what I can do in terms of a story arc. So from that perspective as well, I just thought it was great. And because you left me with not much to write, it's because I was like, this is just brilliant. It did make me think of the masterclass that we did last Friday, and it was a continuation of one we did last month as well, where I was talking about things being distracting, and we often talk about it with music, obviously, but what I was saying in that last masterclass is that quite often, you know, following what Tarkovsky says, is about that cinematography can be distracting, editing can be, all this kind of stuff. Where I'm going with this is that your music brought all those things to life, as in like it made the cinematography bold, it made and authentic as well, and it made the predicament that the character was in. So so the editing and the sort of the touches of things like, you know, the crystal falling down was just, I mean, the precision was absolutely spot on. I loved it. I thought great work. And again, I think it sort of showed your skill, but it's not just something you've just like done, or certainly didn't feel like you've just done that really quickly, that you spent some time thinking about it, conceptualizing it, and then putting it into place. So absolutely, you know, really well done. Loved it.
Cool. Amadeus, any comments?
Well, first of all, thanks so much. So nice words about my work. I feel really honored to hear that. And if I remember correctly, you had it back then as a contest, and I missed it, and I was so mad back then because I thought it was such a beautiful clip, and I always wanted to rescore it. And then I did eventually, and send it in when I had the opportunity now. And thanks for providing the clip. I think it's a really inspiring one. And you said it probably took me a lot of time to do it, and I think, if I remember correctly, it wasn't that much. I think it was like 2 to 3 days, because when you see a picture that is so inspiring, sometimes it's easy to write the music. Because I was just the creative mind was already flowing, and and so it was a very nice experience to do the rescore. So thanks very much.
Fantastic. Thank you for submitting. Is it your first time with us? I don't remember seeing you.
It is, yeah. I received the email back then and saw, you could sit it in, and then I received another to participate here, and it's the first time. Thanks.
Good. Welcome. And where are you coming from?
I'm from Germany, actually.
Germany,
close to Frankfurt.
Sehr gut. Okay. Next, Stefan, number 3, right?
Next,
number 3.
Yeah, number 3. We have Henry Busily. Okay, let me share this. So, activities of daily living. Here we go.
Oh, great film.
Is that better?
Oh, it'll do for now.
This is assault.
How was it with Tommy today?
Is there anything you'd still love to do? Go to the strip club and blow my savings.
But there's some work to do. Well, I'm sure you'll do it. See you tomorrow.
But you're not young anymore. No, I suppose not. But you are.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, this was really good as well. I've written a really interesting and absorbing score for this short film, and you've done that thing that is crucial for film composers. You've let the film breathe, and you've realised that the music, above all else, is there to serve the film. You know, there's a couple of nice little tricks you've done. There's one thing where you play the initial A, and then eventually this actually becomes an F major chord. So an F major chord. So that initial note on its own, and then it basically branches out into that chord there. And you do a thing that the last composer did. You do that thing where you've got a chord like that, and then you put 2 notes on the top of it. I'm going to play them in a second. Now that same chord, that same trick was used in the last one, but it just shows you how you can take a harmonic trope and you can apply it differently and get a completely different result, because this film is completely different, obviously. Because the film essentially functions as a bunch of different scenes which serve one very clear subtextual narrative purpose, the music has to join these together. And we had when Brian first put this film on, and we had a few people doing this film, sometimes people didn't realize that was their job, was to bring all this together. Your music brings all those scenes together. It goes straight to the heart of the subtext. If somebody says to me, this is a scene about a guy being, an old guy being bathed by a nurse, what on earth do you write for that? Well, you obviously don't write the scene. You write what's behind the scene. And what's behind the scene is that guy feeling a little bit put out that he's come to this in his life, that he's having to go through this, and you've captured that with the kind of pathos of the music. It's just superb. Music plays the subtext beautifully. Where the guy says this is assault, it's actually quite funny, but it's also a little bit sad. And your music is very melancholic and reflective. The best kind of music for this kind of thing helps you reflect. Okay, for this thing that's slower paced, what you want here is music that makes you think and makes you reflect, and that's why we've chosen this one, because musically it's not all over the place. There isn't loads of things going on, but basically you've done that thing. You've basically captured the film. The music underpins the central sadness of the situation and the reflectiveness of it all. The instrumentation and texture is superb. Around 35 seconds we hear some high notes in the F chord which penetrate emotionally. And there's a lovely chord, I think it's 48 seconds, where you've got a D minor chord and you have the E and the G. So you have this D minor chord, and then you have what we call a double sus chord. I'm sure you know what that is. And it's where you suspend both those two notes. And this is just one out of many little devices that you've used. And again, you can make this sound effortless, like it almost wrote itself, but I know it didn't write itself, and it takes real skill. So well done. Thank you.
Great.
Similar points. I really like this, and it was just its simplicity, really. It was really respectful of the film. In fact, I put in my notes for this is that if you support the film will support you. Yeah. So you worked with it, and that was the real trick here. The two things were sort of meant to be with each other, and what I think really hit home to me was how it captured the tone, and you captured the kind of rhythm of the feel of the film and of the characters. So things like the camera movement. So when the camera is sort of panning forward or tracking forward, the music was pushing it along with it, and also same with the editing. So I think you helped. So you're doing two things: you were creating the tone, but you were also smoothing out the edits as well. So I thought it was really successful in that thing. There was just one little bit for me in the bit when he was in the bath, and I think you sort of asked him, what would you do if you could, in that bit where he said blow my savings. I think he might have musically just caught it a little bit with the carer. It was just a minor thing. You could maybe have ducked it down slightly, but I thought this was great. And I think the bit at the end when he's sort of reflecting and he's sat in the room on his own, again, that was another moment where I thought, you've really kind of really nailed this. So yeah, great work. And the simplicity, I think, less is more, which I often say in feedback, and this was a real good example of it. So very well done.
Fantastic. Thank you, chaps. Henry is not on the Zoom, but he's on the YouTube live chat, and he's very appreciative of the feedback. So some feedback on the feedback. which we always like. So we're halfway through, right? And we've only got 10 minutes left. So I want to quickly seize the limelight for a second and just talk about some stuff that's coming next. So after this, we will obviously choose whoever's going to receive the string quartet session, and we'll also choose whoever's going to receive the sample library from Fracture Sounds. But excitingly, from the Q-Tube, it is, where is it? I'm trying to. Yes, it is 5 years. It is our fifth birthday, not 50th, as Stefan thought earlier today. It's our fifth birthday, and obviously we're chuffed that we're still alive and kicking and growing thanks to our wonderful community. And we're actually preparing some wonderful and amazing and indeed beautiful things for to celebrate that, which we will be sharing some of on August the 4th. So we'll share more news about a time and everything, but please join us. And here's a little preview, if I can, yeah, here we are. So the people in the Zoom won't have any idea what we're talking about because they won't have seen that, but you'll see it afterwards if you check the YouTube video. So yeah, Stefan, number 4, please.
Right. Okay. So next up we have Ornella's Salvador.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. We share this one, and it's spring. Is that slightly distorted at your end? So
yeah,
I just wanted to
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me reshare it to see that. I don't know why that was. Let's try again. Hopefully. That's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
stopping
Okay.
at point for his 3 minutes there. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was really superb. Just so many. It's packed with imaginative little harmonic tricks and just wonderful throughout. You've done that thing again where which I've talked about before, where you've got a note. In this case, it was the D, I think, and then that becomes it's like a D chord, and then it becomes. It's such a lovely device that where you let one note linger, and you change what's underneath it to reorientate that note. Creates this great feeling again of wonderment, which so many people have done really well today. That what we call a recontextualization of the D note, where you have the D note and then you apply it to different chords, so it could be D going to E like you've done. So, or it could be something where you retain one of the notes. Really good. Dead stop when the light comes onto the stick. Great idea. Obviously silence is so good for that. And then you go to the F sharp chord from the D chord, which just is this huge refreshing feeling. And then you do this great science fiction trick where you go from the F sharp to the C. You find quite a lot of those in kind of science fiction films, but you've buried it quite well in this film. Makes it seem a little bit out of this world, which I think that's the tie-in to that chord trick. You haven't cluttered this thing up with loads of melodies or busy writing most of the time, and that's really a good thing with this. You've let the film breathe, you've let the pictures breathe, you've also made all the hit points. You've got this lovely flute line around 1 minute mark, which is very John Williams, very hard to do that kind of stuff and pull it off. Also 27, I think there's some great string writing as we sense danger. So your writing again moves from being kind of romantic to being kind of fearful and apprehensive. We cut to when the dog catches the stick around 2:21, when the stick hits the floor, really effective. And then you do that same little chord trick again, but this time higher up, where you've got just really effective. And there's a really nice arpeggiated line. I did try and pick up what the notes were, but it was going too fast for me to get them. But there's a lovely arpeggiated synth line around 2:35. Really nice. Very aware writing, and some great brass writing as well in the final chord. So really superb. Well done. Over to you, Steph.
Yeah, same. Aware writing is that absolutely. I think that's what I really liked about this, was that it. Brian mentioned it as well about letting the film breathe. You know, I suppose you could easily pack this film full of stuff, but I thought you kept it simple, and so you just let the film do its thing, and you were there with it. It was the same point as with the activities of daily living. You know, you work with the film, and the film will work with you. And I thought this was another really good example of that. And I also, what I really liked about this was the punctuation. I thought you weren't afraid to just sort of like stop, and even if they were just sort of drops in the music, not completely dropped out, but you just drops in the music. And you know, sometimes you feel like, oh, I need to score over that, but you weren't afraid of dropping it at certain points that you might not have people might not have expected it, but it absolutely worked. So I thought the punctuation of this was done really well, and I did because unless I missed it, that you didn't include any notes, so I didn't completely know what your vision was for this. But what I did feel with this was that you knew, it felt like you knew how you wanted this to work, and you wanted to bring out all the elements to it, which was great. I thought the running section was the only bit I sort of picked out around 2:40, the characters running. And there's only a small thing where I thought there's moments where you could even go further and be that bit more dynamic. But I really like this. I thought it was really outstanding piece, actually, and really showed your skills as a composer. And Brian mentioned the sort of John Williams thing, and that was an influence, but I could get a real sense of that. And it's really difficult to do that kind of thing because there's only one John Williams. But there was a real vibe to this that I thought felt really honest. So really great work, well done.
Fantastic. Ornella, would you like to feedback on the feedback?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you because it's not every day that we get such quality feedback, and it's very useful to keep going and to find new ideas. And a special thank you about John Williams because it's a big inspiration for me. So it's very, very, very flattering. So yeah, thank you so much. And thank you also for providing all these quality clips. It's very precious to have something to work on and to get inspired. And yeah, it was really a great experience. Thank you for everything.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you.
I think just really quickly, sorry, just come back on that. I think that the secret to the John Williams thing, if there is one, I think which you captured, which is it's how you use textures together. And for example, when you were using the strings and then you put the flute in there, that straight away takes it to that territory. So it's often not just about the harmonies or the chords or the music. It's actually about the combination of orchestration. That's what really makes John Williams into the kind of successful composer that he has been and he is. It's just that control over textures, and I think that was really superb. So yeah, thought I'd come back on that.
Super. Well, yeah, congratulations on creating a melody that was too fast for Brian to capture as well.
Oh, I did get it in the end. I did get it in the end. This one. I got it in the end, but it's
damn, he got it.
Sorry.
That will be the new challenge for next month. Do something that's too fast for Brian.
Yeah.
So no, that is great, and I mean I should emphasise that the feedback is really valuable as well as much as anything, because how many times have you guys listened to different interpretations of Spring? And I mean, like what would you guesstimate, Stefan? How many different interpretations do you think?
A combination of these guys and our students is probably the film I've seen the most.
What would you guess? How many do you reckon? How many?
Oh God, I definitely into the 50, up to 50, I think.
Wow.
I was going to say 50
because I think I've seen it more than I've seen 2001, which I've seen a lot.
So I mean, that's great from the point of view that you can see you've seen many pitfalls, you've seen many different great ideas, and it's very interesting.
But that's the thing. I love the different interpretations of it, because there is no one, and what it is about people's personality. I mean, I know it sounds obvious, but it's so true. And that's what's really enjoyable about doing this. It's just hearing the personality of the composer on the piece.
Fantastic. It would also be really good at some point to hear the longer version of that. I know we haven't got time today, but we heard 3 minutes today. But I'd love to have heard, that I think that's quite a long clip, isn't it?
There is a longer version of it. There are different versions, yeah. So the full unedited director's cut is about 7 minutes, yeah.
I mean, I'd like Steph was saying, I've watched versions of that in the past where the music's been good, and after about 3 or 4 minutes it gets very difficult to sustain this, and the composers feel like they're having to write new stuff all the time. Either that or they stop and they have large bits of silence, and it would be really interesting to see how these composers that have done this tonight would have tackled the whole 7 minute thing. That would have been really interesting. But anyway, yeah.
Ornella, have you tried the full version of Spring at all?
Not yet, actually.
Okay.
But I really wanted to do it because the short version was very intense, very dense.
Yeah, sure.
I was wondering how it would go if it's something a bit longer and a bit more, diffused in time. So maybe I will, I think.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, wonderful. Who have we got next, Stefan?
Right, next up, we moving away from Spring, actually. We have
into autumn.
Rachel Baitman, who's done Sub, actually.
Oh right, fantastic.
So Here we go.
A classic old QTube clip. It shows how much our library has improved. That's what I was.
5 years. There you go.
That's what I was thinking. Was like, bloody hell, we've moved on a bit. Okay, Brian.
Right. Yeah, I thought this was really good. It's interesting to see. I hadn't seen that clip before until I saw it yesterday. Interesting and effective introduction and an interesting mixture of sounds. Some really nice cluster chords there. A great collection of chords which really add to the atmosphere. And you can do so much with films like this that have no talking. It's just basically pictures and emotion all the way. Not the easiest film to do as well, I have to say, to try and keep that momentum going all the way through it. The strings around 48 seconds-ish I thought were a little bit bright. And I know you're probably trying to create this hybrid between electronic strings and real strings, and sometimes when you're creating these hybrid sounds it can sometimes get a bit murky, so you've got to basically, I've put here that you know when you've got so many different textures quite densely packed, you sometimes need to be able to see daylight between them in the mix, otherwise they can kind of bounce off each other and sometimes they can create new sounds. But I thought the writing was excellent, and those cluster chords were very, very exciting. Spectacular and quite abstract writing. And I wish we had more of this abstract writing, to be honest, a lot of the time. And I'd love to see you tackle a film that's essentially full of talking. And again, it's a different thing to do. And I'd love to see how you tackled that. But very, very well done. Yeah. Over to you, Steph.
Yeah, I really liked this a lot. I was really drawn to this. I thought it was something quite different as well, and also I hadn't seen this clip before, as Brian said either, and you've pointed out it's one of your older numbers, which so it was really good. I think also why I was drawn to it, because in Rachel's notes she said about analog synths, and I thought, oh, okay, which I thought was a really good choice for this clip. So I thought, and then the combination of the strings with analog synths was kind of quite inspired. And when I was listening to it earlier and before we sort of came online, just to remind myself, I thought, I know what it reminds me of. Well, this might just be me, but there's a kind of William Orbit stuff that she did with what he did with Madonna, the Ray of Light stuff. I was like, that's what, and I thought, oh, do you know what? This is really quite inventive. So I thought that, as Brian pointed out, the textures was really, really nice for this, and I thought it gave it a real So I get real atmosphere to the clip. I think one of the things I noted in my notes about feedback was just about structure. So Brian mentioned about dialogue and stuff, but even something without can still have structure. So I mean, the obvious structure was the submarine going to the surface, and you got that. But I think once it's at the surface, that's a new bit, and you sort of carried it on as it was before. So I thought, and I know that's only a very small bit at the end, so it's very short. But I thought it's a new part of the film, so I thought maybe you could have developed that bit when it's obviously the submarines on the surface. But apart from that, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it, so well done.
Great. I don't think Rachel's with us unless I'm missing it. We've got a lot of people, and it's lovely to see you all. And I see Gil has joined us, who's an old friend of the QTube. But yeah, I don't think Rachel's with us.
Rachel, is she on YouTube?
Oh, mate, I'm struggling with juggling all these windows, but I don't think so.
That's all right. Should we just move on to the next one?
On to the last one, isn't it? Is that the last one?
Okay, yes.
Yeah?
The last one and we have is Sally, actually.
Oh, Sally!
Yes.
Sally's with us somewhere. In all this sea of faces, there's a Sally. There she is.
Right, okay, let's... Right. Hopefully.
Oh, another old classic.
Unique in our solar system. The origin of life on our planet. Home of legends, tragedy, adventure, and the diversity of life itself. The ocean. Join us as we journey across the planet's oceans, meeting the small, the large, and the downright odd inhabitants of this mysterious world. A truly alien world within our world. The Ocean by the QTube.
What a timeless classic! I think it's about time. I think it's about time we did another ocean one to slightly improve on that. But anyway, well done, Sally, for taking it on.
Brilliant,
Brian.
Yeah, I think this is really good as well. I think the music has really branded this film. You've really managed to get this chord sequence that comes back quite regularly throughout it, and it really gives an identity to it. I think for this kind of film, you don't need to be flying all over the place. You need to develop a solid kind of bed of music, which you've done. When you do the stuff where you go from C, from C, and then down to B flat, and then down to A flat, and then back to the C. That's just such a compelling little chord trick, and you could use that for hours and never get boring doing that, because it's such a kind of it's got a real sense of identity and propulsion and kind of kind of journey, if you like, and the way when the guy says and the diversity, and that's where you hold the chord for a little bit longer, and that's just brilliant writing, because that's the most important bit, what he's talking about. That the long chord is a good musical hit point, which you use well. The chords and textures have got a very spacey feel, and sometimes that I mean, in less professional hands that might not work, but it works for this one because you've delivered it texturally in a really interesting way. It's got a really uplifting feel, and again, you haven't cluttered it full of melodies and stuff like that. It's mainly harmonies, mainly chords, and you've really let the film breathe, which is why you've ended up being on this thing tonight, because that's the common thing that gets people to this level, is the fact that they let the film be itself and they don't try and dominate it. Possibly there was an argument for moving away from the piano a little bit and maybe using some more orchestral writing. But then again, you didn't have very long. I mean, the film itself wasn't very long. So yeah, very well done. Excellent. Over to you, Steph.
Similar points. I thought it was really inspired, Sally. Actually, I really liked it. And Brian said the thing about spacey. I know it's like, absolutely. I mean, one, it had space, and then two, I put in my notes. What was inspiring was the use of sounds. The way you sort of thought, oh, you know, I'm going to take these sounds and make it fit the film. So I noted down as a mix of trip hop and some earlier David Bowie records. With I think the use of the piano actually, was what it reminds, you know, that kind of Bowie, that Life on Mars kind of thing that was going on. Which I thought was really great. One thing about the piano, and Brian's already mentioned it, that I noted down, you do run the risk, I think, of getting in the way of the voiceover. I think you did get away with it, but you kind of can run the risk of that. But I thought it was really great. The other thing I thought was really inspiring, and you put it in your notes about it sounding muffled as though it was going to be from the ocean. I thought, you know what, that's really good. My only concern there is that, you know, without the kind of notes, people go, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? As in, like, things felt like at the beginning, like they might have been peaking. I totally got it, but I thought, again, you kind of run that risk. But I'm very inspired, actually, Sally, and it was another really good piece and great to listen to. So well done.
Super.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's funny because it's a bit of a breakaway for me, because I do tend to slightly be more classically based, but I've been experimenting with synths and that sort of thing, and then this like filtering is fascinating to me, you know, to really like manipulate the sound. So I enjoyed doing that one. So
great. So you used it as a little bit of a playground, a bit of an experiment.
It was. Yeah. Yes, it was like an exercise, really.
Yeah, great. That's a great way to use the library.
You could sense that that's you were trying this out, and it really worked. Actually, I think it really worked. So well.
Sally, what did you think of the David Bowie reference? Did that surprise you? Or?
I'm honoured.
And Brian's got his Bowie t-shirt.
One of my heroes. Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If there's anyone who doesn't like Bowie, they can leave now. Okay, wonderful. Well, as always.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sally. Good to see you again. And good to see all of you. Nobody's excluded from my joy. So a little bit more joy to dispense before we finish. Sorry for running over, and thanks for sticking with us, everybody. And feel free to raise your hand, although the Zoom has split it into two windows, so I can't see everybody, but hopefully I'll find out if somebody's raised their hand. First of all, the lucky winner of the string quartet session, out of the people that submitted to this month.
Shall I do this, Brian?
Yeah.
Go for it, Stefan.
Okay, yeah, again, you know, lots of great stuff tonight that we played tonight, and in general, the submissions I thought were great. So, you know, we couldn't obviously get to all of them, but everyone gets their feedback. But we've decided to go with Amadeus on this one. So well done, Amadeus.
Amadeus raised his eyebrows there.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much. I did not expect this. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Thanks a lot. Wow.
Cool. So, Amadeus, I will be in touch with you and we will start to organise that. But have a think, basically, about what music you would like to have the string quartet record. It can be anything you like, up to about 3 minutes or so of music. And if you need any help with orchestration or anything, then that's something that we can help with, or maybe you're capable of doing everything. But we'll be in touch anyway. And it'll be around October, hopefully. So just to give you an idea, you have a little bit of time. So yeah, knock yourself out. Fill your boots. Maybe that doesn't translate into German. The Fracture Sounds giveaway. This is the exciting moment where I get to spin the wheel. So here's all the lovely names of the submitters. And oh gosh, where is it? Ah, there we are. Okay, here we go. The tension is palpable. Oh, it just ticked over. Sasho Najdowski, a good friend of mine from North Macedonia. Congratulations, sir. And it wasn't a fix. The fact that he's my friend is purely coincidental. So yeah, that is great. So Sasho, who I don't think is with us, I will be in touch with you to organise that. And as I always say, but never receive anything back. If anybody has received one of those prizes historically, I would love to hear back from you as to how you got on, what your thoughts were about the library that you received and what you've done with it. That would be lovely. Okay. If there's anyone who's confused, I can see some comments there. Yeah, email me. That's a good thing. Email is good. Okay, so a little bit of final housekeeping.
Oh, somebody wants to say something.
Hello. Hello. Yes. Yes. Hello.
No. No.
No, they've changed their mind. Stage fright.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, went through.
What? What's going on? Are you guys messing with me?
No. It was. I think they're muted as well.
Do you know who it was?
Ale
or Ali?
Ale. Ale is what you want.
I think it's a response to the question about the fracture sound stuff.
Okay, good. Excellent. So just a reminder before we go that it's our birthday, and we will have where is it? I can't find it now. We will have a super duper announcement and stuff on the 4th of August. The steps to submit your score, somebody's asking, it's all on the website. So if you go to theqtube.com, it should hopefully be fairly obvious. If it's still not obvious, then just drop me an email. So yes, we have a wonderful thing happening on the 4th of August to celebrate our 5th birthday. So stay tuned for news on that. And that's it really. Thank you, Brian and Stefan, for your expertise, as always. Much appreciated, and time and everything, and melodies.
Thank you.
And insights and stuff. And thanks to all you wonderful people that came onto Zoom. It's really brilliant to see all these faces from around the world. I absolutely love it. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you on the 4th of August, which is alarmingly close.
Thanks, everyone.
Right, take care, everyone.
See
you later.
You.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.